I wanted to start off to ask the question, would anybody be interested in hearing about ebooks first, or would you like to talk about freelance writing?
I would like to hear about ebooks, because that's actually something I want to get into as far as being an educator on natural hair.
Do you currently write?
No, not really. I haven't. I mean, I know that there's I studied the whole thing, the whole infopreneur avenue, and I know that there's people out here that can actually help you organize and write ebooks, but I just don't know. I just kind of didn't really have a starting point of how to do it.
So I'm always encouraging people first to start writing. And when I say write, meaning writing articles or blogging, because that gives you some material so you can actually put together an ebook. It makes it a lot easier. So the first thing I would do is look at freelancing, and we'll get into more of a discussion about that. But if you start off having material, then you can compile that material into an ebook. And it's so much easier if you start with the blogging or the freelancing. And you can freelance several ways. There's so many different opportunities to freelance. You can go to certain sites called Freelancer, you have Upwork, you have several sites that you can look up freelancing. And what I can do at the end, if anyone wants to email me, I can send you a list so you can start that process.
Yeah,
what I recommend, once you compile all of your articles and all of your material, then you can start putting it into an ebook. But I think it's really hard to start an ebook without having material. That makes sense.
Right, having the content.
You definitely need the content. And what I'm finding is, I think most stylists have a lot of knowledge, but putting it on paper is sometimes difficult for people. So if you are a person that needs help with writing too, you can also go on Fiverr and Upwork and find people to help you with the writing if you're not able to compile everything yourself. Because I know sometimes, we can have a lot of great information, but we just don't know how to put it together. And so we also can find people who can assist us. I also think collaborating with another stylist may help too. So you can actually connect with someone in your network, and from there, you guys can decide, okay, you write this portion, I write this portion, and actually put something together if you feel like it's just too much for you to do by yourself.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's to me.
I've heard of Fiverr. I look on Fiverr, and I know there's some other places where people help you.
You can actually go on, I don't know if you heard of Squeedo and a few other ones where you can actually connect with other people or freelancers. And so, consider that too. But a lot of times we're not using people in our network, and we have a lot of great support from other stylists. And I think a lot of times if we continue to do it by ourselves, it makes it so much harder to pull together a project when you can actually have some help. And there are a lot of great stylists out here. I have a lot of friends who are natural hair stylists, and we work together on projects. There's so many freelancing sites that you can look up where you're actually being paid to freelance. I know sometimes, when you first start, you may have to do a few projects that are not paid, but you never know. Some people will pay anywhere between $50 and $100, and that's on the high end. I mean, I've seen some people only pay $10 for an article, but it's based on your experience and also what you demand. You will find someone who's willing to pay you if you are a good writer and they're willing to use you. Also, when you're writing, a lot of times you're going to see that most people want you to write anywhere between 500 and 1,000 words. That's typically what people request when you're doing freelancing. Occasionally, you'll see requests for 1,300 words, but for the most part, it's 500 to 1,000 words about a variety of subjects. It can be about locks, natural hair, styling, product reviews. It just depends on what someone is requesting. I actually began writing for people who either have a salon or companies that actually promote natural hair or natural products. I mean, there's so many options there. I just think that we don't always find out what those options are. And so I think this is a good place to start creating a roadmap to your, ultimate goals. And so next year, I'm hoping that in 2017, at least for myself, I continue to write. One of the goals that I have too is to do more things with collaborations with other natural hair stylists. What are some of your goals?
For me, I want to get more into the education part of natural hair and my whole thing that I do at the salon, which is like transition people into natural hair from relaxers, and just get more from behind the chair and doing a lot more education. Just more online stuff too. Like I would love to do the whole infopreneur type thing where, with, like you said, with the ebooks and creating like a curriculum for like stylists, because I run into like so many stylists that don't know how to do curly textured hair or are doing it incorrectly, especially when it comes to like straightening it. So just kind of get behind, teach classes, that sort of thing. Just really kind of get into the expert role and education role behind natural hair.
Okay. Well, again, that's when I was saying about start compiling the information now, start doing your research, and start writing so that you can create a module. I think a lot of times, like I said, we have a lot of great ideas, but you have to start making a commitment to writing daily. If you can't do it daily, at least 2 or 3 times a week of just starting to do your research and compiling information. I know for myself, when I'm preparing to write, I try to literally write every day.
Right.
Even if it's something like a page, about natural hair, styling, procedures, all of those type of things. And for me, I feel like that's some information that can be shared with multiple salons. It can be shared with multiple stylists, and utilizing your network is really huge. I mean, we are very connected with people, but we don't share the information we have. So if you are deciding that you want to put together a curriculum, I think the first, group you might want to look at is promoting it within your circle to see what people think and getting some ideas so that you can take it to the next level.
Right.
I really think it's important to start off with the blogging piece and the freelancing piece so that you can go to that next step, because I feel like sometimes like we're skipping the steps and starting off with the articles and writing and compiling information, then from there creating, curriculum and modules and things like that. I think that that's a good place, because once you start writing, you then need to get an editor if you're going to, publish it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my recommendation. I know someone asked about branding yourself. Well, to me, branding yourself as a freelancer isn't difficult if you connect with people. And when I say connect with people, using your Instagram, using Facebook and other social media handles is a good way to connect with people. I know a lot of times I've been able to connect with people through sending them a direct message or an email stating that, I'm a blogger and I'm interested in writing for them, or, going on some of the freelance websites, like I was saying, Upwork, and I actually put in a proposal to people saying, hey, I'm a writer. I'm looking to talk to you about my experience, and I show them my portfolio, and then I move from there. But you really have to start with the basics, and that's one reason why for myself I have not published an ebook, because I want to compile enough information to do so, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, you have to start there. As a stylist, we spend a lot of time behind the chair, and it's really hard for us to take the time out to get to our passion, to get to the things that we really want to do after being behind the chair.
Yeah, I mean that's been a struggle for me. I know for me is just having the social media aspect and translating what you do in regular everyday life as a stylist onto the internet.
Onto the internet, yeah. Start off with small things, like even if it's taking pictures of your work, small tips that you have for your clients, like you can do an Instagram post saying something about deep conditioning your hair, little things that you think aren't really big but can really help you get a following, if that makes sense. So like if you could post not just pictures, but the small tips, like simple tips, nothing that's complicated, something that someone can read quickly. We have all these great things in our head, but when people are on social media, they're wanting to get on and get off sometimes. So, if you can catch their attention quickly, that's the way to go. And then from there, you can build your following. And a lot of times, like I'll post something that says something about business tips. On Fridays, I do simple business tips. And so I offer, information about, it can be hair, it can be about how to be polite to clients, it could be about pretty much anything you want, but just make it eye-catching, if that makes sense. And the reason why I say do that, that will help build your following and also connect you with other stylists, other bloggers, all of that. Like a lot of times people use Instagram and Facebook and all of these other things for things that aren't really going to be beneficial to your business, but it really draws people in. You'll be surprised what one post could do and who it could connect you to. I had someone ask a question about how do you build a portfolio. Basically, you can build a portfolio of your writing. So let's say you write about band two knots. Another thing you could write about is co-washing. You could write about block maintenance. I mean, pretty much whatever you feel passionate about, write about it, and then start compiling a portfolio so that you can present to people and say, this is what I've written. Some people don't require you to have something that's published per se, but they do want to see what your writing style is like. So you need to have some material for that. And so for me, I'm trying to just encourage stylists to think about, one, what are you passionate about? Two, what do you really want to do next? If you want to freelance, then you got to take time out to do it. I know we're often very busy with clients, but if this is something that's your ultimate goal, you're going to have to schedule time, and time management is huge. So if writing is important for you, then you got to put it in your schedule. You can't just say, okay, well, I think Wednesday I'm going to have time. You got to put it in like it's an appointment, like a salon appointment. So let's say every Wednesday at 12 to 1 o'clock, you write. I'm just throwing out any time, but it can be any time. And you put that in your schedule weekly, to make a commitment to it. Because anything you love, it's going to take some work. And you have to look at it as just a commitment. It's part of your, weekly commitments. So freelancing for me, I pretty much take mostly Sundays and Mondays to write. That's when I have the most time, and I spend anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, I get that. So what would your advice be on starting to host classes and that sort of thing for stylists and for just people who want to learn about curly textured hair?
Okay. There's 2 ways you can do that. I used to host classes. I do more one-on-one now. I started offering hair coaching, but another way you can go about it is you can do webinars, or you can have, something at your salon. A lot of people are going to be more interested, to me, in the webinars because they can sit in their house and listen to it. But, if you want to have something at your salon, you can do it. It's just getting people out sometimes is going to be kind of challenging. So I would look at doing the webinars first. If you decide you're going to go with having something, at your salon space, I recommend you pull in someone else to collaborate with, because you need to pull in a crowd, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard to get people to come out on a Saturday or Sunday for, an hour or two to listen. So you might want to host a workshop, but also offer like some vendors being there, and make it kind of almost like a mini expo, if that makes sense. But yeah, because you need to pull people in. And I've had workshops before, and I tried workshops without having vendors, and I've had workshops when I had vendors. And for me, it worked well when I had one or two vendors there, and I offered some, appetizers, and I made it appealing. And so you could do classes there, but I really do think a webinar would be the best way to pull people in. And you can post it on all your social media handles. That's what I would recommend if you're going to go that route. But having it inside the salon is a little bit more challenging. So for me, I would say if you are a person that doesn't mind collaborating with someone, also think about pulling in another stylist that that might want to conduct the workshops together. Maybe you could do something like, for example, one person is a sister lock specialist, another person may specialize in traditional locks. Maybe you guys can pull a workshop together, something like that, if that makes sense. But I think if you can attract different people, that would be great.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that would be the best way to do it. But we're, in the midst of technology, so I think if you can do the webinar, the webinar is going to be your best bet. And
everything is pretty much online now.
Yeah, everything is pretty much online. So, with the webinar, like I said, you can promote that on all your social media handles. You can, you can share it with your clients. I mean, all of that. It pulls in a lot more people if you do the webinar. It's just harder for some people to come out to an event, unless you plan it in advance. Like, you give people like a month or two in advance, saying you're going to have it on a Sunday or Saturday.
Right. Or just build up on the webinars to like some sort of expo or seminar, and then do the webinars in between.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Well, the other thing I would definitely suggest, if you are moving towards transitioning into some other areas, look at being like a brand manager or ambassador. I know a lot of people don't really think about that, but there are a lot of companies out here who are looking for brand ambassadors. GC Marketing, I have several companies, a list of companies I can give to you to look at for brand ambassadors and marketing. And so think about that. That's another option if you are trying to transition, where you can be paid, and you can connect with natural hair product companies. You can connect with a variety of people. It just depends on what you want to do. But I always say, don't get away from your goals. Like, if your goal is to be a writer, write. But if you're trying to transition from being behind the chair, I recommend, considering being a brand ambassador, for natural hair products. I mean, you have so many different companies, hair companies, that are looking for stylists, to promote their product, and just make sure it lines up with what your beliefs are. I mean, there are some product lines you may not really connect with, so try to find a company that you feel like you can connect with. And you can always reach out to numerous natural hair products and send them an email, maybe your resume, saying, hey, I'd like to connect with you. I'm interested in promoting your product. I think this would be, a great business relationship. You have to start somewhere to start transitioning out. So doing small things to me will help. Hair coaching. So I offer that to my clients. There are clients that I have who really need consistent help with transitioning, or um, they need help with finding hair products. They need someone to talk to. Uh, there are clients that don't have a lot of support, so they need someone to really coach them through the process, not just giving them a consultation or speaking with them here and there, but actually having a lengthy conversation with them consistently. Like, I have a few clients who have decided to purchase like a package for hair coaching. So, I speak with them maybe once or twice a month. That's something that you can look into too, is offering that as a service, because I know one person was saying they help a lot of people with transitioning. So if you help a lot of people with transitioning, then offer hair coaching. Help them transition from relaxers to natural hair. Give them the advice that they need, the products and all of that. A lot of times we are giving a lot of our knowledge away for free. And that's not a bad thing. I definitely think sometimes you should, but there are other times where you've got to make a decision that this is your livelihood and you're giving a lot of information to people without charging. And this is a way to say, this is a win-win for both of us. You get the information you need, and I can provide the knowledge that I've gained through the years. So hair coaching is something that you can do. You can also coach another stylist. Let's say you have several stylists, within your network, or, at your salon, that really want to build their business. You can offer coaching to them too, at a certain rate. You decide and negotiate that rate. But a lot of times when we're training, we train for free. And after you've spent like 15 years in the industry, I think, at some point you have to decide, okay, I think I need to be paid for all of this knowledge I'm sharing with people. And I know a lot of stylists have said to me, well, I've trained 20, 30 stylists, and, I only have like 5 who stayed with me. And so they've spent all this time, giving all this information, and really don't have, too many stylists that are still with them. So I say, offer that, the opportunity to coach. I think it's a good way, one, to have some awesome stylists in your salon, and then two, give stylists who are outside the salon some great information, because there are many stylists who are great stylists, but they're not very business minded, not knowing how to conduct business, having excellent customer service, providing, a place for people to come to that they feel like they're getting knowledge. So I think it's a good way for you to share your skills.
You have to recommend one or two, just limit your social media to 1 or 2 platforms. Which ones would you suggest for hairstylists?
So for me, it just depends on what you're doing as a hairstylist. So I use 3 in particular. I use LinkedIn, I use Instagram, and I also use Facebook. Periscope is great too, but it's based on what you're doing. Like, if you're a hairstylist and educator, then you might want to use, LinkedIn and Facebook. I mean, I feel like it just depends on where your goals are and what you want to do long term. For me, I use all of them. I use LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook for me. But if you are a person that's really trying to get a following, you need to look at Periscope. I would always say I'm not a big fan, and I know people are going to be upset with me, but I'm not a big fan of YouTube. I think YouTube is great, but I unfortunately feel like some people don't really take stylists as seriously as they should, because there's so many people on YouTube that give so much information that really is not information that is correct, to be honest with you. And it's because it's not, a lot of stylists. So I think Periscope is like a really great way to get people, connected with you. Instagram is a great way. A lot of times I've connected with people business-wise through Instagram, through, some of their posts about business, products, variety of things. But it's all based on what your long-term goals are. And if you are trying to get a presence, or you are really trying to connect with people business-wise. Because LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn because you can send direct messages and it's a professional network. So like, let's say you want to connect with stylists to do collaborations or things like that. It's a great place for that. It's also a great place to network on a very professional level. It's not really so much socially. And so that's why I like LinkedIn. It works for me. And Instagram works well for me. Facebook, I don't connect a lot with people on Facebook. I make sure that I have a good Facebook presence. I think it's great for attracting clients. At least that's what I found. Anyone else have any questions?
I like what you said about YouTube, because I'm always getting those clients that come in with their YouTube advice and actually shutting it down because they are so many.
Yeah, it's so common.
Stylists, and it's just like, these people don't know the first thing about doing hair, for one, and then for two, they're practicing on their hair. So that's not, you can't, Mechi, I'm sorry, my son is like screaming, but yeah, you can't really, they don't have the expertise, basically.
But yeah, YouTube, I'm just not a really big fan of YouTube because, like you said, a lot of clients come in with a lot of misinformation about hair, and they've watched a YouTube video, and they'll tell me all these great ideas and things they've tried and products that worked on someone. But again, these are not stylists, so that's one reason why I'm always encouraging stylists to put on their Instagram and Facebook, like, post about healthy hair care and styles and products and things like that. I mean, I think it's a good way to not just promote your business, but really make your clients informed. I mean, we've spent many years, building clientele, going to school, or a variety of things, and it's a good place to share a lot of your information because a lot of people are on social media. That's just the world we're in now. Most people find your business either through social media or your website. I mean, referrals are great, but at the same time, this is the era that we're in right now. So, it's just coming up with that roadmap. You really have to start writing down, where are you trying to be this year that's coming up, the next 5 years, what do you really want for your life? And I think a lot of times we know the goal, we just don't know how to get there. And that's the reason why I said, as a stylist, start off now. If you're trying to transition from being behind the chair, start off with, writing, let people know the information that you have, and people are online all the time reading things. So I think it's really important to, start with the writing, post, do a lot of different things. But I do think that, once you kind of really write down what your goal is, systematically decide, okay, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to move to the next thing. I don't think it's a good idea to skip steps. That's why I wouldn't recommend writing an ebook without writing, daily, because it takes you making a commitment to whatever you're going to do. And so as a stylist, I had to literally cut back my schedule with clients so that I can really pursue my goals. For a long time, I was so busy behind the chair, I could not really position myself to get from behind the chair, because every hour, every moment I was with a client, and it was just stopping me from reaching my goals. So, I slowly cut back, and it's just like with anything else, you know, you may financially have a few setbacks. I mean, and you may not. You may be able to transition quickly into what you want to do, but you know, you just prepare yourself that, okay, I'm going to cut back my schedule by, I'll just throw out like 2 or 3 hours a week. So let me move on from being behind the chair to writing. So I'm going to spend 2 hours writing. I'm going to spend, you know, 2 hours looking for a company that is interested in brand ambassadors or brand management. So I'm going to start doing that. And just piece by piece, you'll see things connect. And then you start offering, you know, the natural hair coaching and classes. And, you know, slowly you'll see your business build up in other ways. I know we get so focused on clients, but there's so many other opportunities for natural hairstylists outside of, you know, styling.
Yeah, I just want to follow that up with asking you if you could tell us about some mistake that you made in your journey that you've learned from.
So one thing that I would say to anyone is never, ever, ever underestimate what you can do. I think in my journey, I didn't realize that I gave a lot, and I realized that I also needed to receive a lot, if that makes sense. So you don't want to put out so much and not be fed again, if that makes sense. So for me, one of the mistakes that I made, I think, and we all do that, is you get to the point where you get completely burned out. You are going, going, going. You don't take time out for the things that you really want to do. You don't create balance. That is like one of the mistakes that I always tell stylists and owners, don't do it. Once you feel like you're getting close to that point, you need to re-examine and cut back, you know, cut back your schedule, start pursuing the things that you want to do. If you're a person that likes to exercise or travel, you have to make sure you add that to your life. And so that was one of the mistakes that I would tell any stylist to avoid. And it happened to me. Like, I had burnout and I was exhausted, and I kind of woke up one day and said, you know, I really have to change my life. So that's one of the mistakes. The other mistake that I think we often do is go with your gut or your feeling or spirit that's telling you when you're hiring. When you hire, you have to make sure you're hiring people that fit your brand, you know, and that you hire people that love what they do and they're passionate about it. I know for some people, natural hair is a hustle. It's just, you know, a business. It's a way to make quick money. But you have to hire people who really have a passion and love for it, because it really affects the clients. Clients come in often not for a hairstyle, but for healing and therapy, if that makes sense. So sometimes, you know, we think it's just the hair piece, but a lot of times when clients come in, this is sometimes the only place where they can have a moment of peace or get information. And so for me, the hiring piece is huge, just making sure you hire people that reflect you and reflect your brand. Anyone else have any questions?
And I hate to oversimplify, but maybe 1, 2, 3s about setting your goals for next year or achieving your goals. I know you said with the with being a writer, you know, step 1 is really to practice, and to actually start writing smaller before you jump into an ebook. Is there any other kind of 1, 2, 3s you can give us?
Sure. So I think the first thing that you can do is start writing a plan. So it can be a simple plan. The first thing you can do is just sit down and write a plan. And when I say a plan, meaning 1, cutting back clients. How am I going to cut back clients? Then you write down how you're going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to take, instead of 50 clients this week, I decided that from now on I'm taking 47 clients this week. Then you can do the next step. You can write down, okay, this is my next goal I want to write. So I'm going to put an hour in my schedule every week to write. That's the second one. Third thing, you can put down, okay, I want to put together a small expo. And when I say a small expo, something that's at your salon or something that's at a place that you're going to rent a space. And you can say, okay, my goal is to connect with 8 other stylists and also pull in 20 more new clients for next year or 30 more new clients for next year. You know, you just have to systematically write everything down, because I feel like once you write things down, it becomes a reality. So my thing with me is I write down something every week. If I can't do it daily, I try to write down something that I expect for my life weekly. And so I think if you start off writing a simple plan, I think sometimes we're thinking, oh, I've got to write this really detailed plan. No, it can be really simple things. And I know I'll give you an example. If I know that next year I want to have, I'm just throwing out 10 business consulting clients, then I write down I want 10 business consulting clients, and how am I going to go about that? Through social media, LinkedIn, and I start writing out systematically, how am I going to get to this goal? I think sometimes we have like huge goals, but we just don't have easy ways to get to it. And I think sometimes we don't realize we need people to help us. You can't do it all by yourself. So even if it's, sitting here and thinking, okay, I need an assistant. How can I get an assistant? You can start reaching out to local colleges. They have a lot of students who are business majors who need somewhere they can intern. Maybe you need to get an intern to help you, go to the next level. So I think it's important to break things down in a very simplistic way instead of trying to just get to the ultimate goal. I think it's hard for most of us. I mean, I know money for a lot of people is an issue, so they can't spend a lot of money on marketing and social media. But then maybe saying, you know what, next year I'm going to establish a budget. Every month I'm going to spend, $50 to $100 to market myself, or, I'm going to spend $50 a week on having an assistant help me a couple hours a week. I mean, all of those things are things to make your life simplistic and to also help you reach your goals. So I think, one, it's writing it down. 2, I would say literally breaking down how are you going to get to that goal. And then 3, following up with yourself to make sure, is this still the goal that you want to meet? Because things change. 6 months from now, you can say, you know what, I thought I wanted to be a full-time stylist. Now I want to be part-time. How am I going to be a part-time stylist in my salon? That means you got to hire new people. So you got to just slowly write things down. Writing is huge in all areas of our lives. I know someone asked about writer's block, and we all have writer's block, in the way that you can actually overcome that is just taking a moment away. If you feel like you have nothing to write at that moment, don't write. Write when you feel inspired and when you feel like there's something that you really want to share, especially if you're writing for yourself and you're not like under a contract, you're just doing it for yourself. I just wanted to make sure I encourage you to just take a moment, step away, and then come back to it, because there's nothing like writing and there's no passion behind it. So I just wanted to answer that. Please feel free to email me. You can email me or call me. I can answer pretty much any questions via email or phone call. I know through my transition, it was quite an interesting transition. I wouldn't even say challenging. I would just say interesting, because I had to give myself permission to transition. So you can email me at Na-Klectic Hair. That's NAKLECTIC hair @gmail.com. And if you need to reach me via phone, it's 301-842-4457. I would love to talk to you. And, I do offer business consulting and other services. But, even if you just need some support, I'm here. I'm always open to talking to people and sharing my experiences one-on-one. But I just want to say thank you guys for, being here and listening. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye.